Today is the first week of Advent. In this first week, we are focusing on hope. Advent is the time where we prepare to celebrate for Christ's birth in the church. However, it seems like each year we have to have selective eyes and selective hearing so we do not get sick and tired of the Christmas decorations and songs that are found at department stores way too early. I believe I saw some this year in October. I am one who does not get tired of Christmas quickly. I believe Corey and I try to hold back as long as we can so we don't get judged before we turn on the Christmas music in the office. I like listening to Glee's Christmas music, Michael Bublé's Christmas, Colby Calais, Straight No Chaser, and of course the oldies but goodies, Bing Crosby's White Christmas and Elvis, Blue Christmas. What I look forward to the most about Christmas is that it is the season that I get to see how many times I can watch Home Alone 1 and 2. I had an argument with our youth and children on Wednesday as they were trying to get me to admit that Home Alone 3 was a good movie. I did not speak that blasphemy. I finally feel like I have hit the Christmas and Advent season because when I wrote this, I had watched Home Alone once. Last night, I had now watched Home Alone twice. And while I did this on Thursday, the first time, I was decorating my tree and making homemade nuts and bolts. Now, some of y'all are trying to figure out what nuts and bolts are. Well, nuts and bolts is the Alabama Parr family term for Chex Mix. Don't ask me why. I just know that when my grandfather says, "Hey, bring me some of those nuts and bolts," I know that he is actually asking for the Chex Mix. You all probably have a list of things that help you get into the holiday spirit and to know when Christmas is here. Here's a top 10 list that I found to tell you that you know that Christmas is here. You know Christmas is almost here when there are more pine needles on your carpet than on your tree. The credit card is smoked with the turkey and the ham. It's a Wonderful Life has been shown for the 13th time. A trip to the mall and back is more challenging than the Indy 500. The Salvation Army bell ringers start accepting credit cards. You were pulling an all-nighter because the words "some assembly required." Your Christmas list is written in black while your checkbook balance is written in red. Santa's belly is not the only thing shaking like a bowl full of jelly. The NFL referees are not the only ones giving away games. And the infamous fruitcake finally makes a comeback 12 months later. Advent is also a way that you know that Christmas is almost here. But we should not just rush straight to Christmas during the Advent season. If we rush straight to the birth of Christ, we forget some of the good part of the story. We miss the angel telling Mary of the birth of her baby. And we miss the interaction between Mary and her cousin Elizabeth, who was an older woman thought to be barren, who was the mother of John the Baptist. During Mary's visit with Elizabeth, we find in Luke Mary's song that is also called the Magnificat. Mary begins her song in praise and adoration for the gift that God has given her. God chose her to bear Jesus, God's Son. She is thankful that God has chosen her and doesn't even mention the hardship that she will have to bear because she is not married. What do you think will be the reaction from those in her community and her family and friends? Last night we had our youth Christmas party, which is where we watched Home Alone for my second time. And we had a Christmas devotion beforehand. One of the girls there last night, as we studied Mary being told that she was going to have a child by the angel. She said this: "Think about if this happened in our culture today. What if a girl I knew came up and said, 'Hey, guess what? I'm pregnant. An angel came and told me that I was going to have God's child.' Most people would be like, 'Oh yeah, right. An angel came and saw you.' I am sure that is exactly what happened." I took what this girl said back with me last night as I was finishing up my sermon and thought about this. I think this is exactly how Mary felt and what Mary went through. I think Mary was rejoicing for this gift that God had given her, but the gift had a price. Mary had to deal with the judgment from her family and her friends and her fiancé, Joseph. In Matthew, we read that Joseph was actually planning to break the engagement off before an angel visited him and told him that the son that Mary was carrying was God's son. If I'm completely honest with you, I still wonder if Joseph knew for sure that what the angel said was true. But I think no matter how sure Joseph was, he still had to act on faith. How great is this? Before Jesus was even born, we see Mary and Joseph joining together in faith, knowing that the road ahead was not going to be straight nor easy. And there would be judgment coming from those that they loved. The words found in Mary's song are powerful and also revolutionary. Later in Jesus' ministry, we find him speaking out against the way that things are in their culture. And Mary does the same thing here in her song. Mary says that God scatters the proud, brings down the powerful, while lifting up those who are lowly. The poor and hungry are given great things, and the rich are sent empty away. This song takes the Roman culture and flips it on itself. Later in Luke, Jesus grows up and preaches, "Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. And woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry." In the Sermon of the Plain, later in Luke, he says these words. I'm sure there are a few in the crowd that stood there shaking their heads thinking, well, that apple didn't fall far from the tree. There goes Jesus, again, preaching like his mother. The rich become poor and the lowly are raised up. Why did she have to pass on all of her revolutionary ideas to poor Jesus? It's just going to get him in trouble. Mary's song foreshadows the teaching of her son during the ministry throughout his life. How would Jesus want us to prepare for his birthday? What if we acted out the words of Mary's Magnificat? What if we are the proud and powerful? Can we scatter our pride away and bring ourselves down to lift up the lowly? Bring ourselves down to wash the feet of those who need their feet washed? Bring ourselves down to give not just our cloak, but also our shirt and our shoes as well? What if we are the hope of Christ to the world around us? Hope means hoping when things are hopeless, or it is no virtue at all. As long as matters are really hopeful, hope is mere flattery or platitude. It is only when everything is hopeless that hope begins to be a strength. One of my favorite books and movies, and you may agree with me or disagree with me, is The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. And it's the story of Frodo Baggins, a hobbit, who is on an adventure to destroy this one ring, this evil ring, to save the rest of the world, the rest of Middle-earth. At the end of the story, Frodo and his friend Sam are lying on the side of the mountain where they can destroy that ring. Completely exhausted, they lie down. Frodo cannot go any further. Sam tries to bring hope back to Frodo. This is what is said in the movie. Do you remember the Shire, Mr. Frodo? It'll be spring soon, and the orchards will be in blossom, and the birds will be nesting in the hazel thicket, and they'll be sowing the summer barley in the lower fields, and eating the first strawberries with cream. Do you remember the taste of strawberries, Mr. Frodo? No, Sam. I can't recall the taste of food, nor the sound of water, nor the touch of grass. I'm naked in the dark, with nothing, no veil, between me and the wheel of fire. I can see him with my waking eyes. And Sam says, then let us be rid of it, once and for all. Come on, Mr. Frodo. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. Sam shows hope when things are completely hopeless. He leaves his pride and carries Frodo up the mountain. Can you be the hope to the hopeless and the helpless? To quote my favorite Christmas movie, as I mentioned before, Home Alone, to end my sermon, this is Christmas, the season of perpetual hope. Let us go beyond the season of perpetual hope and be the hope to our world all